everything that you're bringing to us. But Jennifer, now you started National Posting Month. Did I get it right? That's the long version.
National Podcast Post Month, which is
Post Month.
modeled after National Novel Writers Month, which is, or is it not? Now I'm wondering, is it National Novel Writing Month? Oh my. So
I think it's
NaNoWriMo.
writing.
Yeah,
I
National
think
Novel Writing
NaNoWriMo
Month.
is writing. Yes.
Yeah. Dr. A
Yes,
says you're right.
yes. So NaNoWriMo, it's straight modeled after that because I saw that NaNoWriMo was you write 50,000 words in the month of November, and I'm like, cool, don't want to write 50,000 words, but more power to you. And then I saw that the bloggers had National Blog Post Month, and I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Blog post a day every day in November. All right. And then I saw the video bloggers or vloggers, as they were called way back then, doing daily videos. And I was like, whoa, okay, I get it. I get it now. This is a thing. So let me go find the podcasting one. And I searched high and low, and not a thing existed.
So on Web 2 in Twitter, you make a daily microcast, don't you? What do you call it?
It's a Twitter voice. It's the happy day, right? So happy today was Happy Tuesday. Tomorrow will be Happy Wednesday. Occasionally, I get my days messed up and do two Happy Wednesdays when it's actually a Happy Wednesday and a Happy Thursday.
So if we're scrolling through your timeline, we will see those Twitter voice screens with the little play button on there. And you can just see what Jennifer has been up to every day. Or when did you start them?
mm, I don't know. It's been a while. I probably should go back and look. I want to say it's probably been a year, maybe. Mm,
So you're doing those is very much like I've been using that tool, Twitter Voice, for recording live into Twitter as a musician. What I was using for voice instead of Twitter Voice, I was using Racket.com. Have you used Racket.com?
I have not, but I have heard of it.
Yeah, well, Racket Racket.com just broke my heart. All of that was where I started in December with using my voice for the first time. Now that's Web 2, and at first it was you can record within this platform. They make it super, super, super easy. I was at Alessandra because I was all about that handle. So you could record stories up to 9 minutes. So I began. I was like, I hated the sound of my voice, like all the things that you get over eventually. But I heard from my friend Cam Hauser that if you make 100 recordings, they may be shite, but you will be resilient. Same thing with videos. So I thought, well, I'll just start. Nobody's going to know who I am and they're never going to find me. Then a few months ago, they changed their model from an up to a 9 minute to a up to 99 second via the app on the phone. So now you could no longer record via desktop, but you could do it on only an iOS and up to 99 seconds. And I'm like, well, that is even lower hanging fruit. I can do that. I can do that. Like, actually, it was very difficult. I would have to record again and again and again and again because I was so used to going up to 9 minutes. I'd be like, wait, oh no, I have to start over. So, but I had all these recordings. And so I didn't have poo to put on Instagram, but it occurred to me one day, I can put those on my Instagram. They'll look good because they'll all line up. All the tiles will look alike. Yeah, this is what I'm going to. So I did just that. And I'm like, I finally have an Instagram. So this week, to get ready for the event, Na Pa Pomo, I'm like, okay, I've already proved to myself that I can nanocast every day.
Ooh, I
Well,
like that.
for many days, I've proven it. So I need to pull those out and just look at them and see what creative idea arises, how I can use that as my baseline somehow. And then I saw it, Racket.com. If you, this is how it read, This is how it reads right now. If you have at least 50,000 podcast downloads up to a million a month, we are here for you. We can support you. And I'm like, wait, where are my baby nano casts? Wait, where? Gone, baby, gone. So what has happened is they went from a low hanging fruit, podcasting, access media, to doing something even smaller that was handheld, like some kind of a version of a podcast crossed with Twitter Spaces in a microverse. To, yeah, we're not doing any of that now. We are for bigger time podcasters. So they will fly you in to Austin. They will hook you up with equipment. I mean, you will have the community of Racket.com behind you. And this is what I understand from reading I only read the website 5 times looking for my recordings. But that's not where many of us are, Jennifer. We're at the starting gate with a deer in the headlight look on our faces. So how do we participate in Na Pa Pomo? Because we like you. We want to hang out with you. We want to learn with you because you're just kind of you're chill. You're good for people, right? So how do we begin? Because can't help us yet.
So the nice thing about Napod Pomo and the reason that I created it, because not just because everyone else, all the other cool kids are doing things, I need to make something for the podcasters, was because of just that. Podcasting can seem like a very romantic idea, but when it comes down to it, there is a lot of decisions that you have to make. No different than when you're doing a video campaign or doing a book or anything else. But it is a different mindset, and most folks aren't very comfortable with the audio aspect, whether it's the technology or the app or the how long should it be, what should I do, which is where I think social audio really is powerful because this gives you an opportunity to work on what your message is going to be, what your topic's going to be, what your focus is, to develop an audience, to really work on your voice. Because when you first start a podcast, the first show, no matter how well, and you hear this all the time, but it is so true and it's well worth repeating. The first time that you release an episode, you are extremely proud of it, as well you should be. And yet, when you get to episode 20 and episode 50 and episode 100, and you look back at episode one, you are like groaning because you realize how terrible you sounded and you were rambling and all, just you can hear yourself and you're like, oh my God, oh no. But be proud of that first episode. That first episode got you to show 50, to show 100, to whatever you are today. So it may not be as beautiful as it will be, but you can't get there until you start. And I think Napod Pomo for many folks is that start. They're kind of curious about podcasting, but it seems intimidating. There's a lot of tech, a lot of tools, a lot of terminology, a lot of things to learn, and who's going to teach it to them. And maybe they've done a lot of reading. But because it's almost like, in essence, sort of like a boot camp, because it's a community. You have people who have never recorded anything before in their life joining Napod Pomo. And you have people like myself who are seasoned veteran podcasters, but we are trying something new within podcasting, something we haven't done before, a new tool, new technology, a new app, a new idea for a show, just something different. So everyone is stretching themselves in a new way. So it doesn't matter if it's your first time hitting record or if it's your thousandth time hitting record. We're all doing something new because it's meant to be a space for experimentation. I call it the fail fast, get good challenge. I even use that hashtag.
Oh, there's a hashtag for it? Okay, tell
hmm
us what it is again because that's good.
Fail fast, get good. And the
I l
reason why I say that is because when you're learning to podcast or blog or live stream or do anything that's worth doing, it takes a while to kind of get your sea legs. And in a traditional sense, where you release one podcast episode a week, let's just say that's kind of traditional, it would take you 30 weeks to get to 30 episodes. In the month of November, you can get 30 episodes in 1 month. In other words, you're going to fast track your learning. You're going to increase your comfort level quickly So the fail fast, get good is stumble around. And that's the part too. When you first get started, if you've never done it before, you'll be like, oh, I didn't do that really great. Or, oh, that was terrible. You have zero time to cry over spilt milk because guess what? Tomorrow there's another episode. And each day you have those lessons learned and you learn in a forgiving environment. It's a safe community space. And you can ask questions. Hey, I'm having trouble with this, or anybody have a solution for that? Because you've got a mix of folks that are there, you'll have different responses. They'll say, well, I've tried this, or have you tried that? Not to say that that doesn't exist in other communities and other groups. It does, absolutely. But when there's a challenge, there seems to be an intensity that, and this like really where everybody wants everyone else to succeed. So it's like this fast track of like, yeah, go, go, go. And I've just found it to be really enjoyable. And I have people who come back and say, until I did NaPodPoMo, I didn't know that I absolutely love podcasting. I thought I might, I wasn't sure. I also have people who are like, "Oh, I didn't like that at all." And I'm like, "Well, that's good to know. You learned it quickly that that wasn't what you wanted to do. It wasn't something you enjoyed, and that's success." Before you go and spend a whole lot of money on technology, before you spend a whole lot of time in a space that you're not sure is your thing, how about boot camping, fast tracking it, challenging yourself, and learning quickly? Because you will know very quickly whether podcasting is or is not your thing.
And you can simply use your mobile device, can't you?
Oh, yeah. Mobile plus apps is a level one. Do that.
So tell us about Ariel.
So now, okay, I last year, so Napod Pomo last year was year 14. And I had been really getting heavy into my blockchain Web3 stuff. And I was doing a show with Shane Mata, the crypto content creators that we'd done over the summer. And I was like, God, I need to learn faster. I need to learn faster. And I was getting prepping for Napod Pomo, and I thought, huh, could I do this over there? And I started looking at the various dApps that I was aware of. The video dApps was the only multimedia ones that I was aware of that I thought could work. And I couldn't really get them to work the way that I wanted to. And then I don't know how I stumbled upon the podcasting dApp that is specific to Hive, Ariel, but I found them and I was like, it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I went all in because they were every single thing I needed in a podcast host and dApp on the blockchain. And I created the social media and the blockchain last year, a micro podcast. And I agree with you, Alessandra, when you get shorter shows, it takes a lot more prep time than a longer show
So
because you
what
don't
is
have
the ideal length, do you think, for a beginner?
the amount of time it takes you to say what you need to say. Because I have listened to podcasts that are, a few minutes long, like a nugget podcast, 5 to 10 minutes. And then I also listen to podcasts that are long form that are like 3 hours plus. And both of those times and length of times is the right length. So I think it just depends. And as the podcast host, you set the expectation with your audience. If you start delivering a micro podcast that's 1 to 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden you go long form without telling them, you're going to freak them out.
Oh, so would you need to, if you wanted to keep the microcasting and then do
Mhm.
something a little bit longer, would you do a second podcast or would you keep the same podcast and just tell people what you're doing?
It depends on your goal. I mean, you can do special shows or special series. You can do something
Oh.
within a season, something that's different, and that's perfectly acceptable. And I think that's a big key right there. Take your audience on the journey with you. You know that podcasters always do a trailer. They do a trailer because they're well, number one, they do a trailer because you have to have some kind of audio to submit to Apple Podcasts and everywhere else. You have to have something because when you submit your RSS feed to Apple, first thing they do is they go ping the RSS feed. And if there isn't any audio there, it'll come back with an error. So the way to do that is what some folks call show zero or a trailer. And you create a little audio thing. Doesn't have to be long, could be a minute, whatever it is. And that trailer is you telling your audience who you are, the name of the podcast, and what they can expect. And of course, asking them to subscribe.
So
And
is
then
that
you drop your
something that you
shows.
would recommend for us to do before November 1st when NaPoPoMo starts?
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us
What
what your
preparation
show's going
should
to
we
be.
do? Okay, so a trailer. Tell
Yes,
us about
yes.
how do we make a trailer? Like, we
So
want low-hanging fruit.
low hanging fruit. Okay, so hi, my name is. and I am, and I'm doing this show, and it's about, and here's when it's coming, and don't forget to subscribe.
Really?
It's just simple. It's you're just giving them the facts. Who are you? What are you talking about? What's the name of your show? What can people expect from the show and from you? Why should they join? Why should they listen? And then when is it going to launch? And where can they subscribe?
Oh my gosh. Even I, on my most nervous day, can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Low hanging fruit. You said it. That's what it is. It's the basics of what it is. And just tell people what to expect and when they can expect it and where to get it. And then that's your show zero/trailer. Submit that to all the places, not just Apple, not just Spotify, but Podcast Index, which is podcasting 2.0, which ties right into Hive, which is phenomenal because of Brian of London. And and yeah, I mean, so that last year I said, let's take it, let me see if I can experiment and take NaPodPoMo to the blockchain. And I found Ariel. And that was when I knew I could do it. So I created a community, which I'd never done before. So that was everything was new. Create a community. How does that work? Oh, okay. Here's how it works. Done. And then okay, go to Ariel and log in and figure out what's that. Okay, create my podcast. Okay, upload. They can host if I want to. If I have an existing podcast, I can just have that pull from there. And then when I publish an episode, I can then hit publish and it'll publish to Hive. So it goes straight to my account. All of those things were just like so revolutionary. And I'd never done anything quite like that. And yet it was also very familiar because I am a podcaster and I do understand a lot of this stuff. So yeah, last year was amazing. It was I have no idea what's going to happen. Well, let's press the gas and let's go. This year, I know it's going to happen. And it's great. I want to blow it up and amplify it and tell more people if you are podcasting, why in the world would you not also add the blockchain, in this case, Hive, in this case, Ariel, as a destination for your podcast? So you can not only own that, but you can also potentially earn from it. And last year, for the very first time ever, I earned on my Napod Pomo podcast, which was like, what? I've never, it's always been a passion project, like
Oh,
always. I've never thought of it as something to monetize. And yet, just by doing what I've always done, but changing the destination, there was a reward to be had.
so are you saying that there is a Na Pa Pomo podcast
There is a Napod Pomo community on
community?
Hive, just like there's a NaPodPomo group on Facebook, just like there is a group of folks here on Twitter that use the hashtag NaPodPomo to keep up with one another. And you can go anywhere you're comfortable with, and you can join at any level that you're comfortable with. I'm encouraging folks because I know how it works, and I'm the test case that you can do. I've been doing NaPodPomo from the get go. Of course, I created it. But this was the first year because I changed the destination that I earned from it. Now, can anyone here guarantee that you will earn? No, there's no guarantees. It's a possibility. There's potential. It could happen.
It's worth a shot.
It's worth a shot because I'm going to tell you right now, you're earning nothing right now, starting from zero without sponsors, which most of us are, right? We're starting zero with no sponsors. You're not earning anything. So maybe it's possible it was for me, and that's where I'm going in big time. And I'm really working with. I've got some partnerships that I'm working with on the blockchain that are really going to hopefully amplify it, so that more folks can know that we all have a mission and a message, right? And our voice, our storytelling, our ability to get that out to the world amplifies when you add audio. We know this because of Twitter Spaces, right? How all of us know each other. Why? Well, we know each other for maybe because of the blockchain or maybe, but most of us know each other because of Twitter Spaces. And even if we did know each other before, we really got to know each other through Twitter Spaces because the power of voice is something else. It's unique, it's different. Right now, I've got my headphones on. So when you all are talking, you're whispering in my ear. That's pretty close. You can tell that I love this stuff. Like I'm energetic. I think it's awesome. And you know it. It's not me typing away and me using an exclamation point. It's you hear the exclamation point in my voice.
Yes, you can. You are so expressive that the video is not necessary. You are coming through the speakers, Jennifer. So Shadows and I were talking about podcast ideas, and I wasn't prying into her idea and she wasn't prying into my idea, but maybe I should just tell you what I'm thinking.
All right.
I am thinking I got stuck with all the technology um like 3 months ago on the podcast project for the creative work hour. Like I just like was deer in the headlights. I just froze. Everything stopped moving on the project, and it would probably still be in a frozen state, except that you're doing this damn thing. And so I'm gonna play along. I'm gonna do this and use it as leverage to help me get unstuck. What do you think?
I think that's a grand idea because that's what it's meant to be. How can you get good till you fail fast? And no, when I say that, people are like, you shouldn't say that, Jennifer. Nobody wants to fail. I'm like, no, nobody wants to fail. But guess what? Even when you're starting to walk as a toddler, as a child, as a baby, you fall and you fall and you fall. And eventually, guess what? You can walk and you can run, you can do the things.
You can
So
do the things.
it's not like that's like no one fails. It's like, no, that's how you learn. How can you learn? And in a safe community space with others who are encouraging you and are going through their own experience at the same time, experimenting, trying new things. I don't know. To me, it's a no-brainer. Do it.
Well, I was gonna ask Shadows if she had any inkling, maybe no, but if she had any inkling in talking about what her idea is, because people have been going, "Shadows podcast. Shadows, you need to podcast. Shadows, shadows, shadows." So I'm wondering, where are you with it right now, Shadows?
Oh no, have we lost her?
No, I think maybe her mic got cold.
Oh yeah, you have to drop her. Twitter just nuked her.
Okay.
She said literally she put SOS.
Oh, that was what we talked about. Like, we could even use that emoji for SOS. Okay, let me remove. Now, I hope that that doesn't make it where she can't come back, because we do use the shepherd's crook. We do
Mm,
use that here. We don't really make a thing of it, but
mm.
but yeah, we do use that. So I hope that I haven't like locked her out. That would be really sad. But would you like to
Well,
take some questions, Jennifer?
I would love to, or just someone to share to comments their own thoughts on this. I mean, I'm up to hear what you all have or any questions you have. Absolutely.
Hey, Dr. Alexandria, how is your voice tonight? And what do you think of this whole idea?
My voice is good,
Oh, it
and
is.
yeah, I think my voice is pretty much back to normal, and I think it's an incredible thing. Of course, I don't know how anyone does NaNoWriMo, let alone all the other nanos that are going on. So I say kudos to everyone who tries.
Well, Tracy runs Hive Blow Pomo, which is the 30 blog posts on Hive in the month of November. So might have to have her back.
Oh, and I'm wondering, Tracy, as we spin and we're all looking at you now, how
I felt that too.
uh-huh. Okay, how can what you are supporting benefit the project that Jennifer is supporting?
Well, I'd already talked to her briefly about the idea of maybe dipping my toe into the podcasting waters as well by doing short little, are they nuggets, Jennifer? The
Yeah,
one to
little
5 minutes?
1 to 5 minutes is a micro podcast.
Yeah. And instead of doing the Ask a Witch, which I started a few years back and it never really went anywhere, since so many people are interested in talking about Hive, maybe I do like one Hive question a day for Hive blog posting month. And the podcast would go on Hive as a blog post. So, two birds. Now we're back to the nest stuff, okay, and the bird stuff. But so that's something I'm toying with in my copious free time. But even if I don't make it the 30 days, you know, if I don't start and try, I won't know if I like it. So, as Jennifer has said most eloquently.
Yep. I love because when you're doing a podcast, you have show notes. The show notes is the summary of what you talk about to give people a quick glance of like, oh, what is this episode about other than just the title? Oh, here's the show notes. Well, the show notes is a blog post. So
Yep.
it is two birds, one stone.
Whoa, okay. And what is the easiest way to can we find a template for show notes? What because that would be a sticking point for me. Mm.
It's just a summary of what you talked about, on this episode. I talked about whatever the hive question of the day is, or the hive question of the day is. And on this episode, Tracy answers this, is it what you think it is? Or here's a link to learn more, whatever. It's just a short summary. Think of it as the TV guide of the movie. You know, the
Excellent
dis-
description.
there we go. The description, yeah, the little TV
Yep.
guide description of the movie or the show.
I was looking for shadows. I'm going to send her an invite back into the space and see if that works. She has her backup Twitter account that is that she uses expressly for when Twitter Spaces goes berserk. Okay, yeah. So, Jennifer, I'll let you take questions,
Yeah. So
comments from
Brent,
the floor while I work on getting shadows back.
absolutely. Brent, I saw that you raised your hand, or maybe you were giving me a like, yeah.
Well, it's not a question for you, Jennifer. It's a comment. I love watching uh what you're what you're doing in the Web3 space. That I was so super thrilled to take part in my first Hive chat when the topic was about accessibility.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. And that topic actually has really shifted some of the stuff that we're doing on Hive Chat. So I'm really grateful that you were part of that. And it was such a good topic. And as a matter of fact, one of the questions today on today's Hive Chat is like, what would you like to see in the future, potentially future hard forks or new things coming in with Hive? And I immediately said, I would love to see more accessibility.
and and because you've shared so many amazing gems about Napod Pomo, I think I'm going to dive in and do a a micro podcast
That's wonderful. I love that. Yay. Thanks. Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
to share about to share disability awareness information about different disabilities, and maybe two or three things about that disability.
That would be great. And also maybe some of the stuff that we know that needs to be done on the web, like using camel case and, putting alt tags and stuff. I mean, a lot of that stuff is low hanging fruit for everyone. And yet there's so many folks who don't even know that
So
that's
so
something.
I'm ready to follow your NADPOP Pomo journey, but I know that you will also be there left, right, and center following my NADPOD Pomo journey.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, Brent, you bring up something really good because what happens is that everyone has their own RSS feed for their individual podcast. And what we do is that we aggregate everyone's feed into one mega feed. And so you subscribe to the one mega feed for Napod Pomo, and you're able to get everyone's episodes in there. Instead of having to go subscribe to each individual person's show, you subscribe to the one feed and you get everyone's show. And it's a lot of fun. It's so much fun. You can't hear every single episode from everyone because that's a lot. but you want to hear at least one episode from one person at each podcaster just to get a sense of what's out there. It's fun. I enjoy it every year. Thanks, Brent. I'm looking forward to having you there.
And I'm always happy when I can join your Friday space, whether it's to share or to listen.
Yes. Yes, that's true. Sometimes folks can't join because they're at work or they're not in a space where they can hear. So just having folks there, it's really nice. Thank you, Brent.
Thank you so much for coming, Brent. Brent was all over when the invitation went out that we were doing this tonight with you, Jennifer, about NaPoWoMo. He was like sending it out like nobody's business. And so
Thank you
I
for being
love,
such a supporter.
yeah, Brent is a great supporter. Hey, Rose is here, and Rose she is not a newbie to the broadcasting, to the podcasting, and to the posting on YouTube scene. Rose, how are you? What do you have for us?
I'm good. Really, I love this discussion. Partly, Alessandra, you are so the way you ask a question, it's so engaging. I'm both, like anyway, you kill me when you ask these questions. It's
Aw.
great. Because you're not afraid to show, well, I don't know this. Can you explain this? And it's just, and it may be something that the rest of us are thinking about, but we wouldn't be as brave as you to express it that way. So, very
Yeah, we're
cool.
gonna call it brave.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. I guess, I've been doing, I started Woman to Follow, a few, years ago, but I've been doing, as Jennifer, who was on my anniversary show, one of my guests, a live stream show. And then I've done some spaces, and this week, today, I did uh, I did a space with, I don't know if you know Sam, I'm sorry, uh, Zala, Brissell. Um, Zalka B is her handle, and she's an educator and an IT expert, and she's a lot of fun. And so I did it as I didn't like originate it as a live stream. I did it as a Twitter space. Uh, but like for me to, I haven't converted my spaces into podcasts. So I wondered, and I'll ask you this a brave question. Is there like a few templates? Like I need to know exactly what an RSS feed, and I understand what you're saying about the basics of creating a trailer, uh, and I understand like the TV guide. I mean, I do that for all my shows because when I'm putting it out on StreamYard and it's going on 4 platforms, it's I spend time and I write who the people are, what the show's about, but it's more than a paragraph. So kind of like XYZ, this is what you need, here are the basics, and maybe I would consider trying it. I'm not sure what I mean, I know I do Woman to Follow, and I was thinking as I was listening about the short nuggets that I could focus, a show about 5 or 10 minutes describing, something that one of these women that I've profiled has done, or new news about what women in Iran are doing, can make it current. But that would be another layer of like work, or I wouldn't go back to I don't think I'd go back to I mean, I do have clips, and I guess I could take a clip from each show, and I don't know. Anyway, so those are my thoughts. It's kind of
Right. Well,
not too
that's, I mean,
organized.
I really like the Women to Follow mission that you have.
Hmm.
And by the way, folks, I'm not just saying that because I was on Rosa's show. I liked it before. I liked it way before. And I think it's something that needs ongoing amplification because you are amplifying women's voices. So the things that have been done could very easily be episodes. And I feel like the live streams that you do in reference to the interviews could be just stripped out and submitted with that if you wanted to give a little context to it, 6 months ago, or not even put any time because podcasting is evergreen if you think about it. There's a lot of stuff that people discover something today and it was done years ago. I discovered an outdoor podcast, I think in their third year, but to me it was brand new. and I couldn't get enough of it. I blazed through their entire 3 years of catalog in, like, 2 months because I was like, "This is amazing. I love this outdoor podcast." But yet they'd been doing it for 3 years, but it didn't feel like that to me because it was new. So I think it's another opportunity for you to refresh to a new audience what is out there and what is available. Now, could you just do the nuggets? Yeah, you could. And I think if you want to do it that way, take the nuggets and then at the end, 'cause you're going to give it context. I interviewed this person, this woman, this doctor, this person, and they talked about this, and this, and here's a clip from this. They had this to say, and let that original voice come into play, and maybe a few of them. And so said this, and then you could
Hmm.
say, okay, here's to hear the full or see the full episode. Go here. So it's another place pointing to the full episode, and it's kind of, if you think about it, that's almost NPR-ish doing it that way,
Yeah.
tiny bit.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm just to go back a second over one thing you said. When you said you can take the nugget and at the end give it context, but I'd have to give it that context. Let's say I had a 5-minute clip of doctor. I'd have to first introduce it and make that
True.
trailer,
Yes, you are
right?
correct. Yes. No, you're right.
And it's because no one would know who this person is who's speaking unless I explain that, right?
Well, but I've also heard the cold opens like that in
Oh,
NPR, where they do the
uh-huh.
cold open and you're kind of swept
Oh,
away by what it is, and then they come in and talk. I'm not telling you which way is right or wrong, but
oh,
I
I
have
see.
heard them
Yeah.
both.
Mm-hmm. I mean, come
Y-
in with a strong quote and then you say what that quote is
Right.
referring to.
But whatever suits you, whatever makes
Hmm.
sense for you. But the nice thing about this, so a lot of times, like you said it and you said it really well. You said, but that's a lot of work before. You're like, I could do this, I could do that, but that's a lot of work. And it is, but here's the kicker. When you throw that onto Web3, it isn't work for work's sake. There's potential there. Again, no guarantee of
Hmm.
earning. And so that has value. And then, of course, the other potential value of that is that you're pointing people back to the original episodes. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
think the more of us that are on Web 2 and Web 3, when we have our media page, which I'm in the middle of developing mine, but we can
Hmm.
say on Web 2 and Web 3, and all of a sudden people who could potentially be partners or sponsors or
Hmm.
somebody who wants to work with you
Hmm.
could go, really? We don't know
Hmm.
anything about that space. And you're like, I
Hmm.
do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's interesting, my shows are not, they're mostly evergreen, but some of them are tied to news events or news events happen after them. So I interviewed a very big author, a Persian Iranian poet and author who teaches at Yale. Um, and now, I've seen her every night, like on, if CNN or MSNBC is doing a report about how to understand what's happening in Iran, they have Roya the writer on, so and I
Are you
did put out,
newsjacking that? Are you newsjacking that?
am I news checking it?
Newsjacking,
Oh, news jacking.
Jacking.
Yes, I tried. I tried. I didn't get much. Well, I did it late at night, but I don't know. It had maybe 6 retweets, and she didn't retweet it. So yes, I took a quote from the show with her, and then a link to the YouTube, and said, with what's happening in Iran, here's Roya. I think something like that. I mean, I didn't do a thread or a huge thing, but yeah, I mean, I so a lot of the people, people that I interview, then do something else great. And or what's happening with abortion. I have a whole show about what to do if people start tracking, when you have your period, right? And that's like was the cover story in the New York Times magazine section.
I think that's
So
one of those things where you can now I see the wisdom in it, that when you finish your show with the wisdom with the women to follow, that you ask them if they'll come back, and they'll say, "Well, yeah, because 'cause they're all high on the show." And then no matter who picks them up, CNN or the BBC or whomever, they said they'd come back.
well, I don't care. Yes, I was interviewing a woman about Ukraine and she was on Rachel Maddow like 3 nights in a row, so she wasn't responding to me until she wasn't on Rachel Maddow. But I did get her on my show because I'm very persistent.
You
So,
have your
yes,
ways, Rose.
I do. A lot of networking, a lot of persistence. I did a thread on, um, Jennifer was part of it. I thought I'd do a thread on Hispanic Heritage Month because I realized I had 7 women who are Hispanic. But my lead tweet was about Maria Hinojosa, who has been a broadcast journalist and is head of Latino USA and
I love
Futuro.
her.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm trying to get her on the show. She retweeted it, and then I tweeted back at her and said, "I'd love to have you on my show, but I have somebody else I know working on it." So who knows? But yeah, I do things with design, but I'm very persistent. So anyway, but yes, that would be an interesting idea, Alessandra, because yes, when they're at the end of the show, they're usually, I mean, I haven't had anybody who's not happy, so they're all happy, and I could say, well, will you come on when it's a really hot topic?
Yeah, sell them
Yeah,
while they're hot.
right.
Shadows is back in our room. Shadows, you made us miss you. It was
Yay.
awful.
So when you dropped me from the channel, you actually banned me from the channel.
I was afraid that my finger had done the wrong thing. Now, are you going to be banned forever or just for this space? And you're welcome.
Good news is I had the backup ready.
Oh my gosh, the question for you, Shadows, was, do you have a podcast idea?
Yes, sort of. I was thinking that I might actually create podcast recordings here on Spaces, and then Spaces sent me into Twitter hell, and I thought maybe that's not such a good idea.
Oh, I thought I did.
No, I was already in Twitter hell. You just released me.
Oh my gosh. You know, I have to say, so for those loyal listeners and supporters that stick with us, you know that it's just like it is. It's its own plague, the relationship that Twitter Spaces has with Shadows Pub. And it makes no sense to me, but yet,
It's really insane because I can sit in Spaces, I can even speak in Spaces, and there's never a problem. And I'm in here with you, and it's like Twitter says, okay, we're going to stop her from talking.
oh, well, maybe Twitter is like, she is such a consistent co-host. Maybe this is our way of getting her to host more spaces for us.
It's got a funny way of encouraging me.
Uh-huh. Because this is only so much fun for you when this happens. And it happens a lot.
Well, I'm cognizant of the fact that if I was in the host chair,
Mhm.
the whole space would have been rugged.
Well, there is that. And let me just tell you, it's not like that's not
Like
fun.
that.
Oh, that's so great. Well, I'm wondering if there are any other questions or obstacles that you would want to overcome to join us in the community of NaPoWoMo, because it sounds like it's going to be more fun than I thought. It's not going to be just nerves and bumbling technical mistakes, and it's not going to that there's like actually there's a group of people I could laugh myself with.
So I'd be using a narrative approach. I wouldn't worry about having a guest on. I'd just be yapping away myself, sort of thing. So yeah, it's possible.
You are such
Mm.
a wicked good storyteller.
I've been told that.
It might be true. So, Jennifer, what are you? Oh, I needed to ask you. I was going to ask you for this favor because I can't walk and chew gum at the same time, and I didn't have this ready for Dr. A to put it in the nest for us. But you have this beautiful and succinct um, blockchain 101
Mm. Hmm.
on your website, and it comes in four little tiny packages. Well, first it says this is what it is, and then it gives you four little short lessons, if you will, on how to get started. And it is so crystal clear. You have it so distilled that I'm like, I'm an idiot that I didn't go to this before and really sit and read it. It's so good, Jennifer. Congratulations.
Thanks. Thanks. That's awesome. Hold on. I'm getting the link here real quick. Okay, I'm gonna make the tweet and put it up in this, but I see Bez and we have Devin here too.
Yeah. Hi. I just came because I heard that Shadows Pub was going to talk about hard forking, and I wanted to know what that was about, but I guess that's not what we're doing tonight.
You know, we could put Shadows on the hot seat. Now that would be a gamble, wouldn't it? Let's make Shadows the featured guest where we would hope that nothing goes wrong and we will tempt the gods.
And outright rebellion. So Devin, basically the hard fork, and it did work out. That is just simply a upgrade of the software that's running the blockchain. The only difference is that if you do it on Web 2, you just deploy the software and either it works or it doesn't work. On Web 3, you have to have a number of witnesses deploy the software in order for the hard fork to take place. So yes, we had enough witnesses deploy it, and yes, we're running on the new version, and all's good. Life is good. We go on.
Congratulations. That doesn't sound nearly as exciting as I was hoping.
Well, we have had more exciting ones in the past. The last two have been just barely a flicker, and it's been. Did we have a hard fork? Did it actually happen? So this is a good thing. We're some of us that have been around for a while are enjoying the new approach.
It's like air travel. You want it to be uneventful.
Exactly.
And Bez, how are you? Thank you so much for coming. It's good to see you. Do you have anything for us tonight?
Sorry about that. Was right in the middle of something. Yes, my question was, Jennifer, you mentioned about RSS feed and one big one. How do we do that? Subscribe to the big one.
I create the big one after so right as of yesterday, was it yesterday? Monday? Yes. I actually opened up the opportunity for folks to submit their feed. So I created a tweet so people can reply and give me their feed. And there's also something on the Hive community as well as something inside of the Facebook group. So folks are starting to submit their feed. And as we get closer to November 1, I will aggregate the feed and come up with the one feed. And then people will give me their feeds after. And the service that we're using now allows us to add additional feeds. Once upon a time, we used a service that said, once you create it, that's it. And people who came in late were unable to be added to that big feed. But now we have the ability to edit with this new service we're using, which is awesome. And so, yeah, I will be creating that the week of NaPod Pomo that as we're leading into it and send that out far and wide so folks can subscribe.
Okay, I'll look, and so we gotta give you our own RSS feed and
Yep.
through that post or whatever, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Either on
Okay.
Hive or either on Facebook or even on Twitter, just reply and just give me your feed and that'll be added to the mix.
All
Can I
right.
ask a dumb question? Bez has his act together over here. He's like, he knows what it. Okay. The RSS feed. If you.
Actually, I don't. I'm faking like I know what I'm doing, but I'm glad you
Oh,
exposed me.
this
So
is
go ahead
perfect.
and how do you? Yeah, you're asking the question I didn't want to ask, but
Okay.
yeah.
That's
So
my job is to ask the most base questions so that nobody else has to. I had you covered, Bez. So, yeah, how do we get our RSS? Does it have something to do with having a website? I don't know.
yes, so an RSS stands for really simple syndication. And what that means is that it's an easy way for you to automatically get something. And I like to compare it to a magazine subscription. If I wanted to get Time magazine, I could go to Barnes and Noble every single day and go, did the Time magazine come in this month? No. Did the Time magazine come in today? No. Did the Time magazine come in today? I could keep doing that. Or I could subscribe to Time, and as soon as they release it, it automatically shows up at my house. So RSS is very much the same thing. I could go to your podcast website or your blog site or anything else that you have, and I could go, did she release an episode today? No. I could go back, did she release an episode today? No. Or I could subscribe to your podcast or to your blog. And when you release an episode, it'll automatically come to me, my phone, my computer, wherever it is I subscribed. And that's what RSS does. Now, that was what it has done because it for the longest time, it's been kind of static. Recently, RSS has grown and expanded and become much more robust. So RSS now, the Podcasting 2.0 initiative, they've expanded on the namespace, meaning that you can add a value block to your RSS feed. So it doesn't just have the little MP3 with your information in it. It could also add a value block, meaning that if I like your podcast episode and I want to stream you some Satoshis or send you a boostagram of Satoshis with a message, I can do that now. So you can find out that information on podcastindex.org. I'll be talking about that more as we get closer to NaPod Pomo in future episodes of Web3 101, including the one that's tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, or no, 11 a.m. Eastern. And so RSS is simply a subscription service. It just is the technology that allows the thing that I'm releasing, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a blog post, whether it's a video, to get to you because you have said, I want that. Whenever that comes out, I want that automatically to come to me. So that's what RSS is now. Where do you get it from? If you have WordPress, you can have that, but it isn't just WordPress. If you have Squarespace, if you have Wix, if you're using a service like Blueberry to host, or even Anchor, or let's see, Podbean, or Spreaker, or any number of Castamatic, any number of things that are out there that allow you to podcast, they will have a way for a feed. Now, Spotify does not, and actually, I think Anchor's gotten rid. Now that I say that, I want to say that Anchor may be getting rid of RSS feeds because they're part of Spotify. I don't know whether they're getting rid of them or they're making them less visible, but they used to have them, and maybe they still have them, but they're not as highly findable. So RSS is typically anywhere, and that's the feed is what you submit to Apple Podcasts and all the places in order to get people to subscribe to your show. So when you go to Apple Podcasts and you see every single one of those podcasts that are there, when you subscribe to them, you're actually subscribing to their individual feed. Apple is merely a conduit of this. They're like a directory. They're a place where, you want to go shopping. Like, think about Barnes and Noble, yes, but I'm thinking more of Blockbuster. You'd walk in there and they didn't make those movies. Blockbuster, the video store, did not make Top Gun or, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. They didn't make any of those things. They were just the conduit where we, as the people, could go and get those movies. Is that helpful or more confusing?
So I'm wondering, so like if Apple Podcasts went away, but the subscriptions were to the RSS feeds, the your subscription, your ability to receive those podcasts would be uninterrupted, wouldn't they?
Yes. Now, if you're only getting it through Apple and Apple Podcast goes away, then the RSS feed still exists, but you'd have to go somewhere else to get it, which is why podcasting 2.0 is so powerful, because it's preserving and protecting the independent aspect of podcasting, meaning it doesn't have to be Apple or Spotify or any other big company, because we are individual creators. And as individual creators, remember how I told you how I shared that when I heard about podcasting and I realized that I could record something, put it up on the web, and no one can stop me? That's still true to this day because of RSS, because no one controls that. There isn't someone who can flip a switch and say, that's all gone. If you have your own RSS feed, that equals freedom. Freedom for you to say what you want to say and put out what you want to put out, wherever you want to put it out. And if people know what that is, they can go and get it and they can receive it. Places like Apple Podcasts and Spotify and those kinds of directories, they make it easy for us because they have everything in one place and we don't have to go look for them. But they can also flip a switch and decide they don't like you, which is where the blockchain becomes an extremely powerful ally for those of us who like to preserve and protect the independent nature of the content we create. It isn't like we're seeing anything controversial. I mean, my podcasts are like on coffee and on women entrepreneurs and Web3. You know, I'm pretty simple, but yet I still don't want to have somebody be in ultimate control of my stuff. I still want to be the one in control at the end of the day, because somebody may not like what I say about Web3 and they may decide we'd like to flip the switch. I don't want that to happen. So Web3 is a really powerful ally for creators in that you own your content. No one can flip a switch on you. And the potential to earn is there. You don't have to qualify. You're already qualified from the very first post on the very first day. So, yeah.
Well, so Bez and I, we have each other on this whole pursuing the knowledge of the RSS feed. Do
So
we need what?
if a person decides that they're going to post to Oriole, is there an RSS feed built in there, or
Yep.
do they still need to get one?
No, there is an RSS feed built into Ariel. And so yes, you don't need to go anywhere else. If you have a website, I always recommend using your website's RSS feed, because at the end of the day, so Alessandra, remember what you were talking about, was it Racket? Not Racket. Ricochet?
No, it was Racket.
Okay, Racket.
Racket.com.
Okay, so even though those were your audio that you created, Racket decided they were going to change their business model, or they decided that they were going to go away and all your stuff is gone. Now, I'm not saying this,
40 episodes.
right. So it's painful. And I've had that happen to me too. There was something called uh, Utters, Utterz. And back in the very early days, that was the place we all posted our audio there, everybody. And Utters ran out of venture capital funding. And the tech got wonky, and then they disappeared one day, and all of that audio was gone. So I know this pain that you're feeling. I felt it. Same thing happened with Cinch. I was able to download most of Cinch, but then Cinch went away. So when we lay the main content on a platform, no matter where it is, the possibility that it could be out of our control is real. Now, I have not experienced that with Web3. I hope I don't. I get the feeling, because even if, let's say, Ariel went away, the fact that it is actually on Hive probably would still be there. But I'm kind of like once bitten, twice shy, not with Web3, but with the Web2 experience. So I'm someone who's more likely to use my own website RSS than anyone else's RSS, just because I know that if I pay my hosting bill and my domain, it's going to be there.
So you would, if you put it on your website and you wanted it on Oriole, you'd have to do a cross posting.
Yeah, so Ariel actually will pull feed in. So if you go to me on Ariel, I had connected my domain, my personal jennifernavarrete.com, as like, this is who I am. Because, you could do your little bio, it goes there. And what I didn't realize was that I had originally only posted the social media and the blockchain to Ariel. I didn't post it anywhere else, and only left it there because it was an experiment. But then I thought, hey, this actually content's kind of good. I think I'm gonna, because I have the files on my computer, I think I'm gonna upload them to my jennifernavarrete.com just by themselves, like, and I'll submit that to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all that good stuff, and to the podcast index. I'll do it from my personal website, jennifernavarrete.com. What I didn't know was that because I had connected jennifernavarrete.com, which has an RSS feed with podcasts on it, to Ariel, it started pulling those episodes automatically. And I was like, oh, this is like double posting. And I was trying to find out from people, like, why is this happening? Like, what's going on? I don't want this here. But then people were upvoting it. And I was like, it's like a big no-no. Like, I don't know how to deal with this. And so I finally find out that because jennifernavarrete.com is associated with Ariel, I had to break that connection. And once I broke that connection, it stopped sucking my stuff on my homepage. So I'm going to experiment this year by seeing if that will happen. If I actually create a podcast episode, it's called, we are going to hear it here, Podcasting 2.0 in the blockchain, right? That's the thing for NaPodPoMo for me, is that if I just post it on jennifernavarrete.com, but I link it to Ariel, will it upload? I don't know. I'm going to try it. Let's see.
Well, that would be ideal, because
Agreed.
then it's the beautiful straddle of Web 2 to Web 3. You post it on Web 2, you let the feed go to Web 3, and you get upvoted possibly.
Yes, I'm gonna try that out. So the experiment will be when I release my trailer, and I only release it on jennifernavarrete.com, but I will have already created my podcast on Ariel and connected that, and I'm gonna see what happens. We'll see.
Right.
This is so cool. I even understood what some of that meant. I'm really glad that this space has been recorded. Right, Brent? Has been recorded. And where else has this space been tonight, Jennifer?
So, and experimentation. That should actually be my middle name because I reached out to Shadows and Alessandra, and I thought, hey, what do you guys think? You think I should try and live stream this tonight? And Shadows was like, that'd be interesting. And Alessandra was like, what do I need to do? I'm like, nothing. So I threw it to my personal Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And then this is the thing I'm testing out. Shadows, can you go to Vim and see if it's on Vim?
Yeah, just a minute, I'll pull it up.
Okay, Vim is the live streaming service for Hive. So kind of like a Twitch. And I got the RTMP key, stream key, and I put it. Now, did it go? I don't know. I don't know.
That's what makes this so interesting. Is we don't know. We have to put our poker hands down and see how we did.
Yeah, all total experimentation on the Vim part. I know it went to YouTube. I know it went to LinkedIn. I know it went to Twitter. I know it went to that. I know the Vim part was the part I didn't know.
Now, is there anything about blockchain 101 that you do on Wednesday?
So
Is there any
tomorrow, yeah, and that's actually tomorrow, right? Every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, I go for like this is short and sweet, by the way, folks. The Web3 101s are like here's a little bit of knowledge, just enough to kind of get a sense of like what the topic is and have an understanding, and then it's like a little bit of conversation, and then it's like let's go. It's a busy day. We got things to do, people. But that's what the Web3 101 is, and there's an entire archive of recorded spaces that are on Flogen, and you can just list. They're all short. You can all go back if you look at the topic, if it looks of interest, listen, get the nuggets you need, and then bounce.
they're like 30 minutes or something, right?
Yeah, they're not long at
It's
all.
definitely a mic. I would even venture to call it a nanospace.
Nah, they're like commuters. Those are commuters. 20 to 30 minutes is a commuter space.
Is a commuter? Okay.
Commuter podcast.
And a nugget is 1 to 5
So
minutes?
1 to 5 is a micro podcast. A nugget podcast is like 5 to 15.
Well, I could always sing on my nugget, and then that way it would actually seem longer. Gosh, does
By
anybody else have
somebody would drive everybody away. To answer your question, yes, there is a podcast broadcasting at Vim.
What does it look like? Tell me what it looks like.
It has a dark screen, and when I pulled up the there we go. I just heard you say 20 to 30 minutes is a commuter space, so it's running a little bit behind what's actually happening.
But did you see, you can see the screen that has our names on there and everything?
Yep.
Whoa! All right, all right. I don't know. Do I even have? Okay, I'm just gonna go old school. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, I was doing the redneck soundboard. So, do we have anything else? Or are we out of here while we're all excited? Oh, Jennifer, will you come back and be our special guest?
I will come back and co-host with you. Oh my.
Oh my. Oh my. This has been so much fun. I'm so honored that you would agree to talk about your thing because I know people are reaching out to you at all hours going, "Oh, you're the lady that does the Napa Pomo. Would you come onto our show?" And so I'm like, "Okay, don't have your feelings hurt if she can't do." But you said yes.
Of course, absolutely. It's great. That's Napod Pomo's my baby. I love to talk about it. I love podcasting. So I just want to encourage anyone listening live or on the replay that if you've ever wondered and thought, do I to do a podcast, or I've been interested or curious about that. This is the perfect time because, again, you're in a safe community space. Everyone is experimenting, everyone is trying something new or different. We're all learning, sharing, and growing together. And it's just a great challenge. And I will tell you that this is the mental thing to be prepared for. Week one, you're full of vim and vigor. Week two, you're like, wait a minute, what am I doing? Why did I think about doing this? Week three, you hate life. You're like, when is this ever going to be over? And then in week four, you're still in the middle, still there, and you're missing it already. That's
Well,
the
I think bringing you back much, much sooner is going to be the way to go because once we get our feet wet, we're going to have like real world questions, right? And you literally will be helping us, as my grandfather referred to it, helping us get our cows out of the ditch.
Well, now might be a good time to mention our special guest next week, the Jennifer
yes.
engaged.
Ooh, Jennifer.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Shadows just handed me a silver platter, and I was like,
I
what?
gave you a segue and you went, what?
What? Yes. Okay. So we've been talking about Ariel, and we actually have the developer of Ariel who's going to be joining us next week, all the way from India. So it's going to be like midnight or something crazy, some crazy wait hour for them. But he's going to join us.
Let's see. If
I
we're
actually
getting,
don't know what time it is. If it's this time here, what time is it for them in India? I didn't do the math.
it would be 5:45 a.m.
Oh yeah. Oof. Yikes.
That's not bad. It's not bad. Our friends in India, Australia, New Zealand, they do crazy stuff to accommodate our time zone. So
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta
I
love them.
decided, yeah, I will never ask anybody to come if it's 3 a.m. for them or 4 a.m. for them. But the people down under are like 5 a.m. No, that's reasonable for us.
Oh, I actually was asked to speak at a conference in Uganda, a virtual conference in Uganda,
Yeah.
and they gave me a time that was like 10 a.m. for them
Hmm.
or something like that. It was in the morning, late morning for them, but it was like 2 a.m. for me.
Oh,
And I
so
sat there.
you sounded your best.
Well, I sat there for half a second and I was like, of course I'm going to join you because how many times are people coming to us at those hours in their part of the world because it's whatever time, a daytime here.
Yeah,
And it
be
was it was
fair.
great. It was absolutely great. It was, I mean, it was video, so you could see me, so I had to be done up and hopefully I didn't look.
Oh,
It
are
was
you
great.
kidding?
It was great. So yes,
That'll
fair is
that'll show
fair.
you. Oh, that's so great. TimeBuddy.com also has an app and it's very helpful. But I didn't have to use it tonight. I'm so proud of myself. I was able to go, oh, it'll be 5:45 a.m. Yep, that's because I do creative work hour every day and I translate the times for everybody that's willing to show up. So yeah. Jennifer, you have been, as always, you're completely entertaining and you break things down in such a way that's like I don't have to feel like an idiot that I don't know this already, which tends to be a hurdle with learning some things in web 3 is because there's that web 3 speak and we don't nah, we're not doing that. That's not what we do here. We come here to have fun, to learn, to share, and to grow together. You have anything else for us at this time, Jennifer?
I want everybody to have an absolutely fantastic evening, fantastic morning, fantastic afternoon. And if you have an idea for a podcast, and if you have any questions, my DMs are totally open. Hit me up.
So nice. So nice that you can do that. And the purpose of the hashtag of NaPaPoMo on Twitter is what?
Discoverability and for us to be able to find one another. Because I actually make a Twitter list of all the people who are prefer Twitter as their destination or
Mhm.
conversation or community space, and aggregate a list of them. And then it's an open public list, and people can go and subscribe to the list or follow what's going on.
So this is actually going to give us an opportunity not to just learn about podcasting, not just about Web3 and Hive.io, but also about how to use Twitter better.
Yes.
It's a value add. Now, if we could just keep the mics open when they need to be, that would be lovely. But, I'm asking for a lot. Shadows, what do you have for us as we sign out?
I'm just thankful to be here and to speak.
It made you work for it, I swear. Well, we will call that a show wrap on this October the 11th, our regular Tuesday night show. We are here every Tuesday, and we are so caught up in this thing about Hive on Web3 blockchain that we just can't get enough because it is so many things. And we will just be learning from now on through all of the hard forks, right, Devin? Well,
Exactly.
I think it might be time to say goodnight to someone. So all together, good
Oh,
night,
Well,
Wilma.
good night, Wilma.
Good night, Gracie.
Thank you all for coming. Thanks, Jennifer. Shadows, Dr. A, Rose. Good to see you, Devin. Mr. JB, Kenny, Mr. T, Crinch231, Josh, Mora, and Graciela was here. Brent was here. They're all off to other spaces because got them stacked up. Chop, chop, chop. Off we go into all these Twitter spaces. Thank you for choosing. You could have spent your time doing something useful, but you chose to spend it with us. So we'll see you next time. Thank you so much, guys. Good night.